Fantastic, cool. So, hello and welcome to everyone to a PressCast episode. I want to say 5. Is that right, guys?
It is. Say 5.
Yeah, we'll say 5. Wicked. And this week I am with Wendy and Nathan. Now, we're going to be talking about building an email list, which is something that I particularly like doing, and I know a lot of the other guys have started doing and playing around with. But there's a few tips and tricks that I think that make it much, much easier. But first, before that, news. What's going on? I literally have not been paying attention. I've been so insular the past sort of month. I know the big news is that we've had another launch at WP Elevation, which is going very well, and I've just come back from Oz. But apart from that, I don't know what's going on in the world of WP Elevation or anything like that. Oh, sorry,
No.
WordPress. I can't even separate the two. What's going on in the world of WordPress?
They're the same.
Yeah.
No, I honestly don't think there has been a great big tranche of news over the last few weeks. I certainly haven't got any. I mean, there's been a few, I like to wear my security hat. There's been a few plugin vulnerabilities, but they've been minor and a little bit boring. Check out the WordFence blog.
Oh, yeah,
No, nothing really. Just, keep your site updated. Nothing major this time around.
Yeah, I did read that they reckon that over 50%, if not close to 80% of WordPress installs are like out of date.
Yeah.
Which is quite worrying.
I guess it gets to the point though when you've invested so much time into a site and you've spent days, weeks, months building it, and you know that if you click that update button, there is a chance that it's all going to go pear-shaped, and so I think that's what happens. Most people who aren't, that's not their full-time job. They're not a developer. They've seen it before, the white screen of death, and so they don't push the button. They don't update because they don't want things to go wrong. And yeah, I can understand that, but it's not best practice. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I think most of them are just not on their site.
Yeah, maybe.
What is their updates?
Yeah, and I think this as well, like you say, you put a lot of effort in, but also there's that horrible sort of gulf between being able to do it yourself and have enough time, or being able to afford your own staging server and someone to do the testing.
Yeah.
If you can't afford that bit in the middle, then it's just going to go to waste. And I think that's where most people are.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any other big news, to be honest.
No. How about your business-wise? What's going on?
I'm playing with multi-site a lot, which
cool.
is really...
You are?
Yeah. A lot, and it's kind of new to me. I've only ever really done single-site installs and played with those one at a time, and it's really, really clever.
Yeah.
What's possible, what you can do, and also what you can't do. There's quite a lot that you can't, like plugins that are not multi-site capable, if you like. I've run into lots of problems with that, but yeah, it's really, really good fun. I'm using a lot of WPMU dev plugins to smooth it out. And actually, I think they've made their offering. I kind of signed up on a cheap deal a couple of years ago where it was like $200 or something, and I kind of thought, we'll see how this goes. If it's worth $590 when a year comes around, anyway, I thought, no way, there's no way I'm going to use that. Anyway, now it's gone to $190 a year permanently, forever.
Yeah.
And at that price point, I think it's totally worth it. I'm going to keep using it because this last few weeks has made me realise what's possible with it, and their plugins make a lot of the stuff drop dead easy. But I think the issue that I have with a lot of their stuff is that it doesn't look nice on the front end. You've got to play a lot with CSS and tweak it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've got the right idea that they provide a big toolbox, particularly for multi-site. I will say they do a lot of multi-site stuff, but like you say, I couldn't use anything out of the box unless I tweaked it and stuff. Which is why I'm now, the more I use it, the more I use Beaver Builder, the more I use Genesis themes, I'm like, brilliant. Like that I've found with a lot of themes in the past and stuff, they've got like CSS files here and another CSS file here and a custom CSS file here. I'm like, I don't know where to keep track of everything.
Do you use Beaver Builder with Genesis a lot then?
Yeah, that's the combination that I use. Yeah.
See,
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm totally in love with it.
Yeah. See, I kind of played with that for a while, and I just found the Beaver build. I got the agency Beaver, but no, I haven't. I've got the one down from agency, the $200 a year one. I think it's called Pro, so I can't white label it. And their theme's fantastic.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's so good. I mean, it's just so simple. I mean, you imagine Beaver Builder, obviously they build it to work.
Yeah.
So every single piece just works out of the box. Now, it's not necessarily the prettiest thing in the world, but version 1.8, which I think is called Gordon, is just around the corner. They name them after dams, clearly. And there's a dam called Gordon somewhere.
Obviously.
The Gordon Dam. And it looks really good. It's got loads of templates. I think there's about 15 templates, and if you look at them, they've hired some Uber designer dude to do them, and you basically click a button, download the template, and they are immediately, there's a site right there. Not a site.
Ooh.
That's wrong. It's a page. They use custom post types to create a page, but they are blisteringly good.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's cool. No, maybe I'll check that out. I think as well, like, I find Beaver Builder's work really hard on its integrations, and I'm relying less and less on, like, it integrates with MailChimp, for example, for building a list, which is something we'll bring up later.
Yep.
And I just, like, I found in a weird way, because it doesn't do all the trillions of other things, I've had to think slightly differently about the design. But no, apart from that.
Yeah, it's great, and it works
Wendy,
on.
what's going on? Oh, sorry, bud.
No. It's okay.
How about yourself, Wendy? What's going on?
Well, I have been working a lot for small clients, and I found my niche, I think.
Cool.
And small clients with small budgets. We talked about it in the Facebook group, and it is working out really well for me.
Good.
To have the whole process written down, which was a lot of work. And I made all small parts so that my clients just buy one part each time.
Cool.
And it works great. People love it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Like, that sounds cool. I know we were talking about that. I think I'm too impatient. But anyway, I think that kind of wraps up the news. So basically, what we want to talk about today more than anything is building a list, which is kind of something I think people think is apart from a website, but to me, it's an integral part of what a website can do to a business. And for me, it's like the easiest thing to say to a customer, like, look, would you like more leads? And no, I've never met a business who says, no, I don't want more leads. And the easiest way to do that is to, build your website. So I guess the two things we're going to be looking at is, do you guys build a list for your business, and how do you do that, or what's stopping you? And do we build lists for our customers, and how do we do that? Nathan, Wendy, I don't know if one of you wants to kick it off with how you do it for your own business.
We talked about it last time we were on the podcast, and I built a list, and I never sent something. I built it in MailChimp, and the people came on my list with a cheat sheet, which had four things on it. The cheat sheet was how do I log in, how do I make a page, how do I make a post, and how do I add an image. And I think Paul was there too, because it was the first step people wanted to know. Mm-hmm. And I have moved to ConvertKit recently.
To who, sorry?
To ConvertKit. ConvertKit.
Okay.
And it is not as stylish as MailChimp, but it works very nice because you can track everything in ConvertKit. And so I started segmenting my list based on what people bought and what people were interested in. I haven't got any data yet on how it's working, but I like it already.
Good.
So that's where I am.
So for your business, you offer the cheat sheet, which is basically the first kind of four things that most businesses are going to want to know about WordPress.
Yes.
That's cool. That's good. What do you send them after they've signed up?
I send them one email. Well, I took it off because WordPress, the cheat sheet was in the old light gray rounded corner style.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't send people that. So I took it off. And they get the cheat sheet, so it's a PDF file, and it is 4 pages. No, it's 5 pages. It's for every step, it's a page, and there is one page where all the 4 pages are in the page, so you can print it out and put it next to your computer.
That's cool.
It's for people who are not used to working with WordPress, and people use it a lot. I get a lot of reaction on it.
Yeah.
And I used to have it in my footer
Yeah.
for people
as
to
in,
sign
yeah.
on
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know how to put it in a page. But with ConvertKit, you can also put sign up forms in your posts, which I really like, and that is what I am aiming to do in the next coming months. So write specific posts with a specific subject so people can sign up for my newsletter, and I will know what post they have signed up on, and I can track them from there.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So that is the plan.
Yeah, no, and it works. It's dependable. I think we're going to come back to like some of the other stuff, but yeah, okay. How about yourself, Nathan, for your own business?
I'm probably not the best person to talk about the results that come out of this, but I'm pretty good at implementing it, if you know what I mean. I'm quite good at sort of setting it up for other people, but not so much for myself. I guess I'm like a lot of people who freelance. I'm so good at working in my business, and I'm not so good at working, towards making my business bigger, if you know what I mean. So I've got all sorts of. I've used, I still do use Active Campaign to get my list together, and I don't know if anybody has used Active Campaign before, but it's kind of like my experience with MailChimp is that MailChimp, whilst being a brilliant service, I think Active Campaign do a couple of things extra on top, one of which is you kind of get this flow diagram. You can segment your lists, and so you can say, okay, if somebody comes in via the API, stick them on this list, and then 2 weeks later do this, and then a week later do this. But if they didn't do the first step, then stick them in somewhere else and follow a different flow. So you can really get a very targeted. Now, I was really, what's the word? I was really taken by all of this, and I really like the process and the fact that you can do all of this. My problem is kind of doing it. I can actually do the nuts and the bolts of it, but getting something meaningful out of it. So I've designed all these things which in my head, oh yeah, if they don't do this, let's get them doing this, and if they do that. And then, of course, my problem is actually getting people on the list and following it through. Yeah, I think MailChimp are good. I think Active Campaign are good. There's an open sourced one which you can put on your own server called Mautic or Mautic, Mautic. That's worth checking out if you run your own server or if you've got some space on a VPS or something. But I haven't really used it a very great deal. So yeah, that's what I use.
I think it's one of the. Sorry.
Go for it.
I think it's one of the biggest, one of the problems that what Nathan mentions is that you can set it up. I do it for clients too. I set it up and they don't use it because they don't know what to send.
Yeah.
I think that is a much bigger problem with mail, with newsletters or anything you send on the mail than getting it set up technically. Because when I hear you talking about Active Campaign, I think that's great, and ConvertKit is kind of like the same. But I also have the trouble. I want to send out one every other week, and it makes me sick to think, what am I going to tell them this week? I have to send it on Friday. It is already Thursday, and I haven't written anything. Oh my God. And I see it with my clients too. So I think that is a much bigger problem than getting people on your list, is keeping them engaged. When I was with MailChimp, I had a newsletter, and I had 400 people on it, and I sent them 2 newsletters in 3 years.
Yeah, but that's so when we talk about building a list, that is ultimately the key point, is that we should be just trying to automate the conversations that we're already having. And I think a lot of people think, well, if I build up all these funnels and systems and automations and stuff like this, conversations will come out of that. And it's not. Like, you have to spend a lot of time actually writing in a Word document the stuff that you want to say, and then plug that in. And part automation makes that slightly easier, because I feel that if someone downloads like this WordPress cheat sheet, for example, you can just cut up 4 other posts or 4 curated piece of content or something and say, well, we know that you're interested in this type of topic and this type of content, so over the next 2 weeks, here's what we do. But for weekly stuff, you have to create something new. Well, maybe that's too simplistic, but you have to create something new, because it's one thing to build a list, but it's another thing to keep it, keep it engaged, like you said, and keep it clean as well. Because I know for what we do, we've got two businesses that build pretty large lists for themselves, for ourselves, and something that I've noticed more and more of is we're sending less and less traffic to landing pages, and we're sending more and more traffic to blog content. Now, we've got a full-time blog writer who writes 4 or 5 posts a month, so we've got a constant backlog, and I'm always producing and writing myself. But that is the hardest part, because once we've set up the process for pumping that out week by week, or day by day if someone signs up to automation, it's actually having something fresh to send them. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest bit.
Yeah, I think that's the piece of the puzzle that I haven't quite found. It got lost under the sofa. Yeah, I start out with great aspirations, and I am pretty good when the mood takes me. The problem is the mood is kind of like, it's biannual.
Yeah.
It's not coming very often. I think you're really good at it. I've noticed on Facebook, even though you're really busy doing other things, you do pump out stuff, and I presume either you get it written or you write it yourself, but it's regular and it's on message. It's doing exactly what your business is doing. You're very good at that.
Well,
so that's where I fail.
Well, this is the funny thing. Like, I think a lot of people think they've got to have, like, I think I should win awards for the amount of recycling that I do and what I do. Because the amount of recycled content that I pump out, I haven't written anything new in months, but because we have this backlog of stuff, but it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. Let's say we write a piece of content on marketing funnels, for example, and then I post that out to my audience and I send that to my newsletter list. That then becomes curated again at some point in 3 months' time, and I'll say to my social media person, I'll say, can you start promoting this piece of content as well, please? But because that'll itself have a capture form on it, that's all we're doing. We get, I don't know, 5 sign-ups a day from social media. And that's just from posting it out, It's old stuff. It's not stuff that we've written. And this is the first thing I think people need to get their head around, is start promoting what you've already got. Like, don't worry about creating fresh stuff all the time. Start promoting what you've already got. In fact, I'm adamant, and I'm trying to work out a way of being able to do this. I reckon you can launch a website with 10 blog posts more effectively than you can launch a website with just like an about page and a who we are and a service and page and stuff. Writing 10 good quality blog posts that you feel you can share out organically, I think would be more effective. And that's the fastest way to build the list, is by getting yourself out there,
There's also a kind of like the new kid on the block, isn't there, which instead of just attracting people with, I don't know, freebies or whatnot, it's kind of like Facebook ads and all of that kind of stuff. I've dipped my toes in the water with that for a client using now then I'm going to say OpViral.
Yeah.
And is that the one where you get the giveaways? Is that the one?
Yeah,
I can't remember. He's got a few products.
Half survey, half giveaway thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. And that was really successful, actually.
Oh,
that brought people to a list because they wanted something for nothing.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long term that is, and also the cost of acquiring those leads was quite high. Actually, it was kind of in the region of $2 or $3 a lead, which is. And considering you're giving something away, that seems to be quite high, I would have thought.
I don't know. Like, to me, the cost of, let's say you have a subscriber, the cost of the subscriber is, I believe it's the wrong metric to measure.
Yeah.
I believe how much profit have you generated? Because let's say your product is 10 grand. If someone said to me, Mike, I'll give you a customer or even a lead for 40 quid, and I guarantee there'll be a lead and I'll be qualified, I'd pay it 40 quid every single time, no matter what.
I think we sort of judged, perhaps incorrectly, what the giveaway was. It was a really free thing, and it was worth something, so that was good. But there was no hint of, okay, because I got this, there was no relationship built there. So I think I need to work a little bit on that kind of stuff. But that seems to me a really powerful thing for the future. Driving people not for an ebook or anything like that, but giving away something, and then you can segment those lists and retarget them with Facebook pixels, and that seems, I don't know, I'm kind of wearing a bit thin with Facebook, because to me Facebook now looks a little bit like a stream of ads. And it also looks to me like nobody's writing anything on Facebook anymore. You know, when it began, it was pictures of people's breakfast, which I kind of grew weary of quite quickly. And then there were so many people on there writing their own stuff that it was really interesting as they were telling you about authentics. And now we're at the point where everybody just reshares everything else. And I sort of flick through Facebook and think, okay, you reshared that, you reshared that. Who's written this? Which person that I know has written any of this? So I'm not sure whether that's going to work or not in the long term, but yeah.
What do you reckon, Randy?
About Facebook?
Well, I mean, it's a good point, because I know that Facebook, in fact, they've had to work quite hard on their algorithm to start weighting original content that people have written more, but they also have to pay the bills.
Yeah, well, I installed the Facebook Groups app recently because I didn't want to scroll through my Facebook timeline, and with that app, you just see what's happening in the group, so I get much more content I want to see, and I don't see my Facebook timeline very
there's an
often.
app for that, is there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I might get that.
Great.
Facebook groups, just that. Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I've kind of discovered that via the menu. You know, you can just go to one group, and I tend to find myself opening the app and immediately logging onto one group or another group. You know, 2 or 3 that I really pay attention to. So it kind of, I've got to do that with a few clicks, but it sounds like that app does it really well. But yeah, I think Facebook is a really powerful thing at the minute, but like Mike says, they really do have to do some more work promoting original stuff, because
this is I think the term list is going to become more and more diluted over time, and I think a lot of people use social media in the wrong way, and that they sort of feel that if they start promoting stuff out to no one, magically they will build a following, and that's just not true. Because I reckon that social media is more useful if you can bring someone to a group, and we all know of examples where this works. You bring someone to a group and you start promoting specific content to them because you know that they're interested in a group called WP Marketing Advice, or small businesses in wherever. You know that you can start promoting specific content to them. So the social group is in itself a list, and what we found is if we attract people to a group from our list, from our email list, that's the main place, and we do everything. We use Outbrain, Twitter, Facebook, paid Facebook, PPC, SEO. We do everything we can. I am starting to see that if we bring people back to a group, though, and post content to that group, the traffic ratio is way higher from that group, way higher.
And you lost me for a minute. What you do is you create content, and then based on the behavior of the people who are getting on the list from the content, you make groups and you place them in groups, and then you target the groups for the new content.
So yeah, I think.
What you say?
Yeah, no, I'll start again. So we build people into. Okay, so I'm going to go through my process now, right?
Yes, please.
We have a master list, okay,
yes.
which has however many thousand people on it. If someone joins and they've downloaded a piece of SEO content, they will go into, on the list, an SEO group, right? If they download a piece of social media content, they'll go to a social media group on the list. Now, I know MailChimp does lists, I know ActiveCampaign does tags and stuff like that. And they will then will try to focus the content that they get via email. However, where we use social media is that we ask them to join up in a closed Facebook group, but that's much broader. That's to everyone. For example, WP Marketing Advice is one we run at close to 500 members. And I will post in that once a day. My social media person went a bit mental recently, was posting it like 3 times a day. I was like, that's too much. So they'll post once a day, older content, so it's curated, that also has our like splinter products and sales messages and stuff. But when we post that to a group of people that's much smaller, but we know that they're interested and we know that they know who I am, they are way more likely to click. Having said that, people are more likely to sign up, possibly because they've already signed up from, if they're in the Facebook group, they've probably already signed up, I guess. But they're more likely to sign up via a blog, via organic social media.
Mm.
Our landing pages convert well, and our paid traffic converts well, but I have a feeling that going forward, recycling content and creating a list inside a Facebook group is going to be the next like thing that people are going to start promoting out. And it's very easy to do. You just say, look, in an automation email, in fact, it's the second automation email that we send. So the first one we send is, hey, here's your piece of content. Thanks very much for downloading it. You can access it here. That's it. The second email we say is, look, we are a group of whoever. If you want to join a group of like-minded businesses, individuals like you, join WP Marketing Advice. It's completely closed and it's only open to people who subscribe. And then when they go there, we then post in there content that's a bit older, but it's more likely to get read, because that's just you sharing stuff, you know. And the way that we capture and gauge the interest of leads is kind of measured through that, because even MailChimp does like conversion tracking. So if it knows that if someone's, particularly things like Marketo and SharpSpring, it knows if someone's in a Facebook group with you and they open an email and read your content, then that's a high level of engagement, you know.
That's really, yeah.
We build a list inside Facebook, basically.
I think it's really smart curating your own Facebook groups. Presumably that's quite time-consuming. To keep it, or what's the word, fresh, you know, so that it feels like it hasn't gone stale, or that nobody's hanging around, or that the owner of the group hasn't abandoned it or is just using it for marketing purposes. You've got to be in there and actually.
Yeah, it's hard, I'll be honest, it is hard work, and we get a lot of spam, and I think that's because they're not customers, they are just leads. And we do have I've got quite a strict, but I'm in there, I try to go in there, but it's more that people, like, I haven't quite cracked the formula for it yet. I've just seen people working, so we're just kind of playing around with it.
I think that's a really neat idea, though, because it's a way of keeping it going, whereas for me, that's exactly my problem, is keeping it going. And also, presumably, there's bound to be some people in that group who are happy to carry on without you. You know, they'll just keep chatting and filling that group up with content. And I'm in a whole bunch of groups on Facebook, and some of them are really new, you know, a couple of months old at most, and yet there are a few people in there who just love it. You know, they're constantly pushing content, and they're not the people who began the group, just like me. They're a member of the group, and I keep going back just because there's fresh stuff that I'm interested in. That's really neat. I like that a lot.
If you can get, I think old school marketing called them evangelists. So if you
like a maven.
Yeah, maven. Yeah. So if you can get people, and I've got two in my group. I've got Olivia and Mark, who will constantly interact with my stuff, and I know they do.
Do you reward them for that? Do you?
Yeah, they
give them a pat on the back and
yeah,
you know.
Like they're in fact Mark's he's become a customer, so I guess that's his reward. But yeah, a couple of the guys. There's another really young guy, I think it's called Alex, who is like super into everything that I post. But I haven't got anyone who manages the group. When I say manages, maybe I should get a community manager and start doing that kind of stuff. But it's something I want to do. But that's like building an email list. I love, and that's the easiest one to measure. But I think that building a Facebook group as a list.
Well, I think the great thing about the whole Facebook group thing, unless like Wendy, you've downloaded the Facebook groups app and you've excluded, you know, most of your Facebook interactions are gone out of that. But if you're like me and you just use regular Facebook, it's just in there somewhere. You know, it's not like I don't know, you don't feel like you're being advertised to. Like the Beaver Builders group, I'm in that on Facebook, and it's really helpful stuff that comes through, but it's coming through next to stuff that my mother is posting, and it doesn't feel like I'm being preached to here, or well, I certainly don't feel like I'm being sold anything. It's really useful, but it's just modelled in with the rest of Facebook, which makes it feels less like you're being preached at. So I think that's a really nice idea. I still have the problem of, I guess, getting people on the list to begin with, but I am going to do something on those lines without a doubt. Maybe not today, maybe next year.
Let's talk about that. Like, what's how do you get people on a list? To me, it's split between the language that you use and the copy that you use that makes it sound like giving someone an email address is worth the risk. But on the other hand, the technology to do that has now become so sophisticated. I mean, Opt-in Monster blows my mind. Every time I use it, it's got something new. But where do you weigh those? What do you guys use? You know, what's the roadblock to stopping growing a list? You know.
I think for me, it's me and it's time. I would love to have more time to build that list and then to do things with it, as we've just been talking about. But for me, it's a question of actually finding time to look at things like Opt-in Monster, to create new content. That's the big one, is creating new worthwhile content. If in this area of my business I could click my finger and make something happen, it would be creating content that I could give away. So I actually struggle a lot with this, and therefore my list isn't sort of blossoming or growing particularly well. What about you, Wendy?
Well, I started the other way around. I started making checklists for my customers, because when they were writing posts and pages, they have the cheat sheet, but they keep forgetting things. They keep forgetting uploading featured images and a lot of things. So I started making checklists. If you write a page, you have to do this, 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 this. And for me, it is easy. I feel a little bit a cheater here, because my business is in Dutch. So I find all those great English examples, and I just have to translate them in my own language, like Troy always says. Take it, tweak it, and make it your own. So I started doing that, and that is working really, really good for me, because it is very much fun for me to do, to make it accessible for my Dutch clients, because a lot of people I work with are not good at English, so they are never gonna see that content unless I translate it. So for me, it is working very well, and I have recently I hired a very expensive business coach who is forcing me to do blog posts and content every other week.
Yeah.
Not really forcing me, so he's not with a gun at my side.
I can do that. I can threaten anyone.
Get paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is working really nice, and it's working for me. So what the thing I learned is that I don't have to just start new things. I just have to find the things that I find interesting and things that I think my customers would be interested in, and translate it or make it my own. And sometimes I share blog posts of other people, and that is good for traffic too. So I have I have separated my list into customers and leads, but as the process is very slow, I want to send my leads also some very valuable content, and the first thing I wrote for them is what you need before you can call me, and that is a 8-step course for all the information you need to gather before you start connecting with a web developer, like a form. But
cool.
It helps them think about the questions I am going to ask when they contact me, and that is working really well, because people are sharing that with other people, so it's kind of spreading itself. And I am not doing well, I am on Facebook and I am on Twitter, but I'm not doing anything businessy on both of them. Nothing.
That's interesting. I was just going to have a look and see if I could get some statistics, because you mentioned how sharing stuff out, and particularly if you've rewritten it, what we found is if we give even just the dumb stuff like the tweet, if the tweet takes different bits of the content but it all goes back to the same topic, it sounds like I'm trying to cheat the system, but it looks like you're posting out a lot of different things, but actually it all goes back to pretty much one blog post. But amazingly, my social portal that I log into is not working, so I can't get it in. But it gives you a lot of insight, because it's stuff like you were saying, Wendy, if you share out other people's stuff, the engagement rates are really, really high. Now, as a marketer, I might say I actually don't care about engagement rates, because it doesn't increase the likelihood of someone buying from me. But if you're posting it out to your list and people who you've already got contact information from, I would argue that actually that's really useful. It becomes more a personal relationship, because you can say, look, I know you're interested in ... whatever the topic is. I came across this, why don't you check it out, you know?
Do you have, Mike, do you have a sort of system of sort of semi-automating that stuff? So let's say that you're online and you find a really nice piece of content that you know is really brilliant, and you would like to share that, let's say, on Twitter. Now, the way I would do it is I would go into something like Hootsuite or Twitter or Buffer or whatever, and then I would type out my take on it, shorten a link, or and then post it out. But that's the sort of thing that robs me of 5 minutes and 10 minutes every day, and so I don't do it, because my brain concentrates well when I'm not disturbed. So I switch all that off. So the whole day goes by and I've been switched off to it, whereas I really probably could have done with reading a little bit and posting a little bit out. So I wondered if there was a way that of authentically automating that.
So I know there's an app called Q, which is QUUU, and that works through Buffer, and it basically searches for posts. What we do typically is we've got in our social portal thingy that manages all our social media stuff. There's a search function in there, and we'll search for specific kind of keywords, and that will just bring up content. You just basically click and say, let's schedule those.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I have not found a way of being able to get the type of content that I really want to share without going out searching for it and producing an Excel spreadsheet. However, what we've been doing more and more of is creating, let's say we find 30 posts, right, on one topic, and we'll say, all right, well, we'll share these a couple of times a day. We still keep that spreadsheet, and we'll say, we're actually going to reuse that in a couple of months' time. And we've now got anywhere between, I think we've got about 25 spreadsheets of just curated content for one topic. What we might start doing is start chopping it up, because here's my big problem, right? Products should be treated a lot like content and vice versa. If something is useful, it's probably not going to be time bound. And I think a lot of people have this idea that they've got to share fresh, brand new content, right? Whereas the truth is actually, if it's useful, if it's genuinely useful, there's no problem at all with reposting it. So if you've got curated content, you've got a list of stuff that you know works and is useful, I don't see a problem with continuing to share that. Maybe not every day, so it becomes repetitive, but it's about keeping it not repetitive. It's not necessarily about keeping it constantly fresh. Because let's be honest, how much good content, I mean actually good content, are people producing for our customers and for our industry? It's actually not that much. So it's I think easier to find stuff that you can recycle than it is to find stuff that's new, as long as it doesn't become repetitive. And I think that's the easiest way. But to be honest, buddy, no, sitting down, going through stuff.
Yeah.
If I can find a way, hell, apart from paying a VA.
Yeah. I find a lot of the content that I read is specifically aimed at people doing what I do. So it's developer-ish, or it's perhaps a little bit more complicated. But I really like Wendy's idea of writing the stuff that her customers ask her all the time and sending that out. That's brilliant, because it's exactly what they want to hear. It's not complicated. Like, I'll be reading about custom post types, and this week it's been multi-site and all of that, and I could post that out and it would be useful, but they're not going to be my customers. They're going to be my rivals, presumably. But your stuff, Wendy, is really nice, straightforward, and exactly what they need. Yeah, that's really clever.
I had the exact same problem, because I wrote about custom post types in Dutch because I use them a lot, and I think they are awesome, and they let you create things that you couldn't otherwise do. and I wrote a post about it, and my clients go like, what is that? What is this? And the post that gets the most visitors and that keeps getting good scores is, I lost my password. How do I log in? Really?
Yeah, that's
Simple.
Gold. Absolute
and that
gold.
that is one thing. I have been reading a lot of books about marketing and about business, and the thing that I keep forgetting, and I think maybe you too, is that you are writing for people who are over there and not where you are, and you don't have to take them in one post or one email to where you are. You just have to take them from where they are to the next step. And that is, you are so, your mind is so full of what you already know, and you just, at least me, I just want to share it with people. I just want to, I want to have them have the happiness I experience with all the knowledge I know, and it's just not going to happen because they are not there yet.
There is potentially, business is the wrong word, but there would be a really good blog to be had in writing this content and making it freely distributable to people, specifically WordPress developers or consultants. Just writing all these little posts of how to get your password back.
We have coming out. Yeah, and also white labeling it.
Yeah.
I would be, I would say there's some serious cash if you wrote 20 posts and you said, look, you can white label them, put them on your WordPress blog. I guarantee they won't do you much for SEO because a lot of people are going to be having similar, but I guarantee it's going to be lots of decent regular content that your customers can use. Think at WP Elevation, the first genuinely big product that they had was video user manuals, which is just the same questions that people go over and over and over and over. They recorded the videos, and that is now their flagship product. It's the easiest thing to sell. It's the easiest thing for people to understand. Customers buy it, and then WordPress businesses buy it to sell to their customers. You know, it's
golden. It's really good.
It's
you know,
isn't it?
I watched the videos the other day when I was putting it on multi-site, and I thought, actually, you know what? Somebody spent a ton of time doing this.
Yeah, no, they don't. It's not like I will sort of do it. They spend a lot of time and money on it.
Yeah.
It comes up in conversation all the time.
Right, my brain's ticking now. We should take this off podcast, I think.
Yeah, no, you joke. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to start wrapping it up now. Building a list. Go. What are people doing this week?
Multi-site.
Multi-sites.
More. Give me more multi-site. It's very, very, very. I love it. Have either of you dabbled in it?
Yeah, for a membership site. Yeah.
Yep. Wendy?
I have been playing with it, but I haven't really got some live sites.
Yeah, I just think it's such a fantastic idea. Obviously, it's got certain niches. This niche is possibly going to be schools.
Yeah.
Kind of fits really well because you've got a whole tranche of people who are really busy. Their school needs a website, but they're not technical. You know.
I'm playing with the idea for my own website for people because I work a lot with people who have no experience and they want a website, but they really don't know what to say on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's. I've been playing with that idea, but I haven't worked it out yet.
No. Anyway, that's me this week. Yeah.
What are you up to this week, Wendy?
Well, WordCamp Belgium is coming up this weekend, so I am excited about that, and I'm going to be there. It's in Antwerpen. I don't know the English word for Antwerpen. And at the end of the month, WordCamp Europe in Vienna, and that is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that really will be nice. What about you, Mike? What are you doing?
Well, basically focus on WPE launch and looking at the new content strategy that they're going to be pumping out with my own business. We're wrapping up our own course, which is, again, just from a ton of different emails that I constantly get, we built a course out on how to build a marketing funnel using any WordPress website and MailChimp or any CRM, basically, but we'll start with MailChimp. And yeah, we're just putting the finishing touches on that, loading it up and creating a launch funnel. So, busy.
Yeah, exciting.
quite
Yeah,
good.
should be good. Yeah, should be really good. I'm looking forward to it. Right, thank you very much, guys. So as always, where's my little script? So yeah, first of all, for us as presenters, I'm going to start doing this with Zoom because I think it's going to be slightly easier. For those watching, remember to like and subscribe and all that kind of malarkey. In the meantime, I am Mike from Say Your Service. You can find me at Mike_Killen. Wendy, Nathan, contact details.
Wendy.
Wendy at websiteclub.nl, but it is in Dutch mainly. So
Be Dutch.
Yeah, be Dutch.
in Dutch, yes.
I'm Nathan from pictureandword.co.uk, and you can find me there, and probably nowhere else for the next few weeks because I'm going to be busy.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thanks very much for your time. Good
Thanks.
stuff. Cheers.
Take
all.
it easy. Bye.
Bye.